Shane Murphy here, entrepreneur and restaurant marketing expert. Welcome to the Restaurant Rocket Fuel podcast, where we discuss marketing strategies that leading restaurateurs are using to grow and expand their restaurants. This podcast is sponsored by Boostly, the text marketing company that works with every point of sale and online ordering vendor in the industry. No contracts, no monthly fees. Learn more at boostly.com. Hey, welcome back, everybody. Today we're joined by Steve Smyth, who has been the Director of Restaurant Technology for Taco John's International, and they're over 350 locations for over 19 years. Steve, we're so excited to have you with us today. Thank you for joining us and sharing your story and your experiences of implementing technology over at Taco John's through the years.
Shane, thanks for having me. Really appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit about restaurant tech. It's something I'm very passionate about, and I've been grateful to have the opportunity to work for Taco John's for over 19 years and kind of help us build out our tech stack into a cloud-based system over the last 5. So
that's awesome. Yeah, we're gonna have some real treats in the discussion today. But maybe before we do just dive in, could you share a little bit about yourself and maybe about Taco John's in
Sure.
general as well?
Yeah, Taco John started here in Cheyenne, Wyoming. I'm still based here in Cheyenne, Wyoming, so our headquarters is here. 55 years ago, actually, and it's one of it's sometimes referred to as a legacy brand, but we've been serving tacos and burritos for a very long time in the upper Midwest. As you mentioned, we have over 350 locations throughout the United States, and we just opened a couple restaurants in Massachusetts last year, out in Boston. So that was pretty exciting to finally get to the East Coast. And
broke out of the Midwest.
Yeah, we really have. Our footprint is continuing to move east, so we're excited about that growth. Taco John's has been around for so long that a lot of people it's one of those things like it's kind of got this craveability to it with our potato lays and our nacho cheese and our tacos, obviously. And so a lot of people just remember it from like visiting small towns throughout the upper Midwest. They're like, oh, I know that Taco John's place. I remember that place. They have really good potatoes. They have really good tacos. So, but yeah, it's been just so much fun over the last few years. Really, we ended up opening a support center out in Minneapolis, Minnesota, out in St. Louis Park about 3 years ago. So now we have our support center in Minneapolis, and our headquarters is still here in Cheyenne. But a lot of innovation, a lot of different things that we've been doing as far as moving the brand forward. So
That's awesome. And you've been with the brand for almost 2 decades now, which really gives you a lot of breadth of the types of technologies that you've been able to implement through the years. Maybe what role has technology played on like the marketing side for Taco John's?
You look back at around 2016 when mobile ordering really started to kind of come about, and that opportunity to kind of reach out to guests via apps that probably didn't exist so much for like everybody. McDonald's, a lot of the other bigger players had apps and of that nature, but we really at Taco John's, it was something that was slow. It was a very slow pace for us to get involved with. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that we're just a smaller company, and we're in the upper Midwest. Technology kind of comes in from the outside, from the coast, and makes its way into the middle of the United States is how it seems from time to time. But so really about 2016, 2017, we started looking at the evolution of our tech stack as far as marketing is concerned, and bringing in Olo and Punch as our loyalty provider. And to this day, we're still with both. Very excited about the partnerships that we've built with both those companies, and the evolution of our app that's occurred over the last year. We've done a lot of growth in our app, a lot of improvements. We partnered with a company called Flyby for geolocation tracking of, to make it a more seamless opportunity or more seamless experience for our guests when they come to our restaurant, place mobile orders, and you know, I think the pandemic really helped build out, third-party delivery and first-party delivery, which is something that we're focusing on right now heavily, and just the mobile ordering landscape in itself. So,
Yeah, that really is, there are so many components that come together, but there was a shift in that 2016 to 2017 period where online ordering was starting to become more popular. Um, and at the time, everyone was focused on the transaction and making the online order itself
yeah.
happen and get that transmitted. But through the years, it's opened up a lot of opportunities to better communicate to your guests and to your audience. And that communication really does have, substantial revenue impact and just impact on the customer journey and the connection
hmm
that people have with the brand. I know that you've implemented a lot of marketing solutions through the years. What have been some of the ones that you have been most excited about? And you may not have even actually implemented it, but you've gotten exposure to lots of different types of technology. What are some of the things that have
Yeah.
gotten you excited in that like customer communication and marketing end?
You know, honestly, the very first time that we sent a mobile order to a restaurant was probably one of the most exciting moments of at least my career in restaurant tech, right? Um,
Yeah.
because a lot of folks don't understand how long that process took, in 2016, 2017, and it took almost a year to build all that out, that infrastructure,
Yeah.
and get the POS company and working hand in hand with Olo. But then having a new way to communicate, and like you said, to communicate with our guests, a new way for them to interact with us. And it kind of just it was slow. Obviously, in the beginning, it was very slow. And I kind of mentioned this before with the pandemic, we ended up seeing, like, all the restaurants had to get on mobile ordering very quickly. But we also saw this ability to communicate to our guests, with offers and things of that nature through our loyalty app. And, while our loyalty base grew over that time period, our mobile ordering there was a considerable shift in our mobile ordering platform as well. And so we get a lot of feedback from our guests regarding like our app and their experience. And so we continually try to we always put the guest first, and we want to make it the best experience possible. And we're still learning, though, even to this day. I mean, 8 years later, we're still learning how to be good in regards to our app and our experience, and how to interact with our guests. I don't know if anybody's ever got it totally perfect, but definitely keep trying.
Yeah, I love what you highlighted, that you know you put the guest at the center of it. You put them first and then seek to make it as smooth as
Yeah.
possible. Yeah, implementing new technology often requires like change, and that change, there's change on the operations of the business and how employees interact with the brand and things, but then
hmm
there's the customer's side where they have to get used to something new, and sometimes there's a natural resistance to
Yeah.
change even if it's a great thing for the consumer. And when you do place them at the beginning, make sure their voice is heard and just seek to keep iterating and making things smooth, that makes it a win-win for everybody at the end of the day.
Yeah. I think, and even looking back at the amount of, training that we had to do for our restaurants, it wasn't just that you turned on mobile ordering and all of a sudden, everybody just knew what to do. We spent a lot of time working with our teams to understand, like, go ahead and make the food. It's okay. We want it to be hot and fresh for the guest. That's always the most important piece. But when the order shows up on the screen, don't be afraid to make the food. That way the guests can walk in, get their food, and get back to what they want to do. That's why they want to use the app. That's why they want to use mobile ordering. They also want to take care, they want that loyalty piece. We have some very loyal guests. Um, as you're aware, we have these things called potato lays, and our guests are just extremely loyal to potato lays. I don't know if you've ever seen the comments online. It's just unbelievable how committed they are to great tasting potatoes at Taco John's. So
Yeah, and maybe to touch on loyalty, like there's obviously the consumer's loyalty to the brand, and then like actually building out a loyalty program that incentivizes the loyalty and the repeat purchase frequency of those guests. How has Taco John's thought about structuring that loyalty program to
Mhm.
incentivize their guests to
Yeah,
keep
I
coming
mean,
back?
we in the beginning we did not have a point based program, and last year we finally decided let's move to a point based program, which again it's just listening to the guest and meet them where they want us to meet them at, right?
Yeah.
So point based program just made sense. We've also noticed that I don't know if you use anybody else's app other than Taco John's. Obviously, I only have the Taco John's app, but apparently there's a lot of other offers out there inside of apps, and I think it's just getting very competitive. You gotta be able to kind of cut through the noise and have a good offering, and make sure that it's relevant to the guest. Make sure that that offer is something that they're going to use, and hopefully though, we'd all love to have guests that come back every day, right? I mean, that's a win no matter what. But I think we're all fighting for the same guests over and over. We're all fighting for that. We're all fighting for the same space on their phones.
Yeah.
How long do they keep the app on their phone? Um, is too much communication too much? Is it not enough? Right? Whether it's email, SMS, app notifications. I mean, we can really get into
Yeah.
handling the guest with a lot of information, but are they listening? And I think that's what the most important part is that over the last few years, you've really seen that with just the feedback we're getting from guests is that they don't want to be overindulged in that manner. They
Mhm.
want they want to come to us and we meet them there and have good offers and make sure that it's relevant to what they want to serve themselves or their families. So
Yeah, and when you're collecting that feedback, like how are you going about hearing the voice of the customer regarding
yeah,
these things? You're right. Like if you over communicate, people are going to just turn off the
yeah,
notifications. It's really easy to do. If it's text, you reply stop. If it's an app, you delete the app or turn off notifications. If it's email, you hit unsubscribe
yeah.
or it just goes to spam. Um, and so understanding what your customer wants is so crucial. How do you go about gathering that feedback?
You know, we use a lot of different platforms to get feedback from our guests. But one of the things that I really appreciate, at least from our marketing team, is that they go through a lot of those comments one by one. Nothing is, they we search through those comments and make sure that if there is something that's if there's relevance in there in those comments, we need to take it needs to be addressed. And I would say that our marketing team is one of the best at that. So
That's fabulous. That's at the heart of the brand. It's like that Midwest culture of like we're a
yeah,
people brand. We're not just slinging tacos for tacos' sake.
exactly.
We're giving tacos to real people,
Yep.
and it's the people that come and participate in the experience of eating a taco.
Yep.
And that's what I've always seen that from Taco John's is there's this focus on people. A lot of your stores might be in rural areas and
Yep.
not in the big large metros, and there's a different culture that you have to have with your customer
Yep.
as a result of that.
We have a very personal connection with our guests. Especially because a lot of the restaurants that are out, as you mentioned, in rural areas, a lot of them, Taco John's is maybe one of five different restaurants, maybe even less in that community. And
Yeah.
They look to us to be a partner in many different facets, whether it's just, hey, I'm bringing my family to eat there, or, sponsorship opportunities, things like that. And our franchisees they're tremendous with their giving. They do so much work within their own communities to build those relationships and take care of those communities that they're in. So it does make it to where that family, that feel that you get when you walk into our restaurants, like most of the people know each other in that community. And so growing up even here in Cheyenne, Wyoming, we only have 65,000 people. I worked in our restaurants for, a number of years in the beginning of my career with Taco John's, and I knew everybody, and they knew me. And so it does make it, when it comes to that relationship piece, they'll hold you accountable, and they expect it. They expect good food, and so you gotta deliver on all the aspects of it, right? Quality, service, cleanliness. So
I love that. Now, my insights on this are likely super out of date because eight years ago when I was the head of sales over at Jolt, I remember I was working with you and Rocky on the operations team, and we were taking a lot of time to really deeply understand Taco John's process for testing out and implementing limited time offers in
yeah,
various regions throughout the brand. What role do LTOs play for Taco John's?
yeah, they're one of the most important. Just last month we introduced a taco pizza, and our culinary team really, I can't believe the amount of work that went into this thing, and the product was just simply amazing. And it's unfortunate. I think a lot of people probably didn't really understand when they heard taco pizza.
Yeah.
You hear taco pizza, and you're like, oh, I've had a taco pizza before. This was something special. And it actually had 8 slices. It came in a huge pizza box. I mean, it was it was a 14-inch pizza, and
Wow.
it was meant to be shared. But the amount of work that goes into those LTOs, I mean, from the conception part to the ideation to actually bringing it to life, getting it into our restaurants in the test phase. I mean, those are it's like 6 months to get an LTO into production and make sure it's worth. There's always an LTO that doesn't make it as well, right?
Yeah.
That just doesn't fit the footprint. But just like our taco pizza was something that I thought as far as our entire company really put forth such an effort to get this into the restaurants, and it really paid off. We were excited about it, and we continue to look at LTOs. Whether right now we're running tostadas, which to me it's like a little personal pizza, but so when we got rid of the big pizza, we went to little personal pizzas. But yeah, I mean, we continue to float in between value and just new offerings and such. So right now in our Cheyenne market, we're testing some spicy burritos. By the way, they're phenomenal. Some of the best burritos I've had at Taco John's. I'm not going to lie. If you like heat, they're right on point, right? And they're 2 for $6. But we're going to continue to look at those processes, of the LTO and make sure that we get them out. And it's just going to be a constant flow of new. We'll always have the tried and true, right? Meat potato burrito, standard. Crispy tacos, best in the business by far, best crispy taco in the business. And we'll always have those staples, but I think our guests expect us to have something fun, something new. But they always know that and then we have potato lays and nacho cheese, so they always come back for those.
Yeah, and so when Taco John's thinks about the LTOs that you're implementing,
hmm
there's obviously the novelty side. If there's something new, it's fun, and it adds to the flavor of just the recurring menu that everyone's used to and loves. And then there's obviously the side of, hey, this has to financially work for the business,
Yeah,
and oftentimes, ideally, should produce additional revenue and value to the business. how does Taco John's marry those two things of like the novel and the economic financial side?
Yeah.
And like it, how do you think through that mix when you're trying to implement a new LTO?
I mean, I think our marketing team really thinks about like, that float in between value and novelty, right? A taco pizza was not something that, just was easy to implement into the restaurants, but we did it, and tostadas are a
Yeah.
little more in our footprint, right? So it makes sense and they're a value offering. And we kind of float in between each one. It seems like on different promotions, depending on what we have out there. But we also, we do a lot of consumer research. Our support center out in St. Louis Park, we bring in a lot of guests in that area, and they provide a lot of feedback on what they think is going to be good for us in the future. Very Brad, Chef Brad, as we call him, he comes up with some crazy stuff at times, but there's other stuff that over the past year, the cheddar crunch taco, the taco pizza. I mean, just items that the cheddar crunch taco was like a flatbread, kind of like a chalupa type thing, but it was actually seasoned with our potato olé seasoning, and it had like a bunch of different cheeses, like kind of melt ingrained, kind of just it was
I was
baked
wondering
with
while
it.
you're
Yeah,
talking about it.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
crazy, and then we fried it, and it was delicious, right? And those are those things that our guests like kind of they want to see us be innovative, but they also know that, by the way, we still own Taco Tuesday, so to speak, right? We started it.
Yeah.
We've had it forever. So Taco Tuesday, Taco Bravo Thursday, these are all in our wheelhouse still. And like I said, our guests expect those parts of that loyalty, or I'm sorry, that value piece to always exist at Taco John's. So.
I think those are great insights. And Taco John's has just done such a good job of always putting that customer first and having that loyalty at the center of everything that you've done. So thank you for coming on today and
Yeah.
sharing your experiences, your insights, and all these things. This has been super fun. Where can people learn more about either you or Taco John's after this?
You can always find us on LinkedIn, right? And then any of our websites, our mobile ordering sites. And you can continue to see us innovate, right? So right now, we just launched voice AI in a couple of our restaurants. So we actually we call her Olena, kind of after our potato lays. But Olena will be happy to take your order at through our drive-through in a couple restaurants right now. So we're always looking to innovate our technology stack and always make sure it's something that fits in our brand. So we're excited about the future of tech. We're excited about the future of marketing and continue to meet our guests where they want us. So
Awesome, Steve. Well, thanks again for coming and sharing your experiences.
yeah,
This was great.
thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Restaurant Rocket Fuel. And thank you to the amazing restaurateurs that work so hard to provide an amazing guest experience for our communities. Again, this podcast is sponsored by Boostly. To see how we can drive more revenue to your business, visit boostly.com. Don't forget to subscribe and go out there and maximize the potential that you and your business have in front of you.